In this video, I'm going to give you my first impressions of the new Moza R25 Ultra True Torque direct drive wheel, which was demonstrated at Gamescom 2025. Is this direct drive wheel a revolution, literally and figuratively? Is this maybe an upgrade path for R12 or R21 Moza users? Could it be the case that driving simulator software itself is where the improvements need to be made in force feedback rather than the hardware? Find out in this video. As a sim racing shill, we have a Moza affiliate link in the description, so if you buy Moza stuff and want me to go to more events and do what we do, use our link. I really appreciate the support. Also, if you subscribe, you do gain the power to unsubscribe. Who doesn't want that power? And of course, we still have no idea what the like button does, but you can click it. Before we go through the technical gish gallop of the stats of this wheelbase, let's first be very clear that this is a rig at a trade show. There's only so much you can gather from rigs at trade shows. The settings are whatever settings that have been set, and often those settings, shall we say, are slightly different to what I would personally set things up to myself. Massive credit to Moza though, running Assetto Corsa. I can't tell you how many hardware demo rigs there are where they're running ACC or sims with the worst force feedback in the world to test hardware with. So good job Moza on sim choice. Technical specs of this new DD wheelbase: sustained 25 Nm of torque output, built-in torque sensor, 21-bit magnetic encoder, high-density flat wire motor, industry-leading torque response, 600 MHz high-performance CPU, refined design with RGB customization, cloud-based app configuration. Well, I was possessed by numbers there to market products to people that don't know what those numbers even mean. Even I don't know what they mean, but what I do know, using this Moza R25 Ultimate True Torque, you honestly can't make these product names up. Everything on my channel is the Ultimate True Torque. Maybe the next one will be the Super Ultimate True Torque, the Mega Super Ultimate True Torque DD wheel. I'm going to be interested to see where they go after this, but having used this, I have to say it actually did feel really nice. It was super duper smooth. The force feedback was super duper detailed. Obviously this is a Lamborghini, so probably not the best of cars to feel the absolute finest of details, but you know, it felt like an absolutely solid, smooth, very detailed DD wheelbase. As do, let's be honest, pretty much all the high-end DD wheelbases on the market. Now, I have been using the Moza R21 on my rig at home for the last 3 or 4 months, and this did feel slightly better than that, marginally better than that from what I could tell. Not a huge amount different, keep in mind we're not fiddling with settings here, but like the innate quality of it felt a slightly bit better. That could also just be placebo. It's very marginal. Maybe it's less marginal when you fiddle with settings more, but it felt a little tiny bit better, I think. And then of course the Moza R21 itself is a bit of an upgrade over the Moza R12. Not just in strength, but in sort of smoothness, punchiness and response. The elephant in the room though is the fact that what is defining force feedback in simulators is really not your DD wheelbase. I've had a Simplicity OSW from 2014 or so, and I've used OSWs with the small Mage motor from like 2012, and the fact of the matter is, even those wheelbases going back a long time, almost a decade, are well above what you need to be able to feel all the details coming out of a racing simulator to a very high degree of fidelity. Ultimately, the issue is the simulators themselves. How those simulators generate force feedback from the physics that those simulators have, and then how the developer decides to output the force feedback from those simulators. And the fact of the matter is, some of the latest simulators, LMU, ACC, they just have terrible force feedback detail. It doesn't matter what direct drive motor you throw at them. You know, okay, it might feel a bit smoother, but you're not going to magically get a lot more detail. With iRacing, Using stuff like Mirror, Marvin's awesome iRacing app, you can get a lot more dynamic range and detail, but then you're limited by the physics and the nature of the tyres in that simulator. So it's kind of funny that we have companies like Moza genuinely moving things forwards. I do think this wheelbase is a nice step forwards. Does feel fantastic. I mean, it's bloody amazing force feedback device, don't get me wrong, but you have these hardware companies pushing things incrementally forwards every year to insane degrees, and then you're back on AC1 from 2014, an Automobilista one, to actually use those wheels to the maximum capacity. So, you know, it's just worth keeping in mind this hyperfixation on DD wheels due to awesome new products and YouTubers reviewing stuff and getting people to use their affiliate links. It's worth keeping in mind that the software is the limitation, not the wheelbases. Though obviously there are little differences in the wheelbases, but on the grand scheme of things, those little differences are really not the biggest thing that's worth actually hyperfixating on. I do think it'll be really interesting to try this wheelbase on our own equipment and really fiddle around with it. And I do think for Moza, the biggest thing will be how they change their software, or what they do with their software, and what you can actually get out of their software. So on the actual firmware side of the direct drive wheelbase. I had a good chat with some of the people at Moza, and I'm trying to convince them that they need to do some telemetry based options so that end users can try and get more detail out of sims that maybe have less detail. Not sure how on board they were with that, but you know, that's something I'd really like to see from more wheelbases. You have stuff like the VNM wheelbase, even the AccuForce wheelbases. They allow you to do a lot more custom stuff. But you know, also my thing as well, we need stuff like Mirror, Marvin's awesome iRacing app, to be in every single sim as standard, and fundamentally how the force feedback is driven from the software, or the detail from the software, is something that needs to change in sim racing to really take advantage of this amazing hardware that we now have. Also, we're sending this video, the big thing with the wheelbases as well is the wheel rims, the prices of the wheel rims, and the wheel rim availability. A lot of people watching this will be like, why do I pick one wheelbase over another? Well, I'd say look at the general software, but also look at the price of the wheel rims that you're likely to buy, and then that's probably going to help you make a decision on the wheelbase more than some super rando specs and torque numbers and sensor values. So my overall view of this wheelbase is that Moza are doing a bloody cracking job. Really good. Loving the improvements they're bringing to things. I love that they're pushing things further forwards. But I'm more interested to see what happens on the software side. And then, of course, just whatever can bring the price down. Moza, you need to do like a Logitech G25 type wheel. Forget all this super high-end stuff as well. Do something even cheaper than your R3. A £50 wheel with force feedback. I don't know. That's what I want to see as well. But there you go, guys. That's my first impressions of this wheel. Hopefully we'll get one to review. I was kicked out of the rig by someone's mum because they were in a rush. But they had a good time, so it's great. Thanks for watching. Happy tea drinking. Take care and goodbye.